I'd like to first point out that I'm not exactly a big fan of open world sandbox kinds of games, so there might be some aesthetics here that I'm not paying very close attention to, but rest assured, I am simply presenting my 100% humble opinion. Hello everyone, this is Alan of Reimaru Files, and today we will be reviewing Just Cause 4 on the PlayStation 4. Sandbox games tend to get recognized based on how easy it is to get creative with it and how stable it stays while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. A fine example would be Gary's Mod, a very old Valve engine that had a lot of animations made out of it. Now, the game we're about to review is about getting creative with destroying everything with the multitude of tools you have at your disposal. This fourth installment in the series embraces a comical, over-the-top action flick with your triple form hero taking on the treacherous corporation taking over the land. You take charge of your own army and start your campaign. Ships, planes, countless guns, and even weather control weapons. Are you ready? Let's go and see how it fares on the PlayStation 4. Part 1. Production. Okay, there's no getting around it. The PS4 version is definitely suffering on the graphics end. While foliage looks convincing enough, and models generally pass, a lot of issues quickly become noticeable. Some textures don't look very detailed and others look pretty okay. Sadly, some of these less impressive textures are actually on the characters, their clothes, sometimes even their skin. Another unfortunate effect would be how lighting performs, especially in cutscenes, making it harder to see faces. Edges look noticeably rough too. Sometimes the anti-aliasing doesn't seem to be working ideally. Sometimes they're making edges fuzzy and it's just annoying because they're supposed to be more defined than that. And finally, blur effects are all over the place. It seems overused and caused me to get dizzy during my first hours of play with the game. Though I'm not sure if they patched it because I did notice that the blur effect didn't seem to bother me as much along the later play sessions. Or it could be just me adapting to the game. It's really hard to tell. In contrast, most of the vehicles look pretty great. They generally look more detailed and clean, and they also all explode in a satisfying way. A lot of graphic refinements seem to have been put aside in favor of being able to generate gigantic maps that you can pretty much level on the ground, so long as they're not walls or buildings that are not obviously supposed to be destroyable. It's not like Red Faction. But, if it's glowing red and it's moving, you can probably destroy it. Now, if that's what you're after, you want to be able to wreck everything in sight, then the trade-off isn't so bad and the frame rate is generally in an okay level. The general aesthetic seems to ride on the popular, bright and wild theme you usually see in games like Fortnite, and you're gonna see that a lot. It's been a very popular theme as of late, in contrast to your enemies who are a monotone black because they're called Black Hand, la-di-da. While this is generally okay, it's a very predictable way to go, so it doesn't really feel very inspired. It also reflects how most of the map really doesn't have any notable landmarks, making navigation sometimes feel very confusing and frustrating. The fully voiced game tends to ham up dialogue, but that seems to fit the bill just right considering what this game is. And then there's the explosions. And well, the explosions are great. Now there's also a live radio that you can access while handling any vehicle, and all of the stations that you can access stay within the theme of the game. That's pretty neat. Now, one problem is the songs they play are they might copyright strike you if you're planning to stream with it or record it and then post it on YouTube or the usual sites, so be careful with that. So to wrap up this section, the graphics are not that impressive, the sounds are pretty okay, the frame rate is pretty stable, and the explosions are fine. Part 2. Mechanics. Just Cause 4, being another entry in the open world genre, approaches progression the same conventional way open world games do. You explore, you collect, and you complete challenges. Now, the game will tell you that you cause chaos to enemy bases and that'll make your army level up. That's kind of what you do, but the truth is you just really go to places and complete challenges, complete missions, and then you unlock new weapons, new vehicles, and maybe functions for your grappling hook. And the grappling hook we'll get back to later. The basic idea is that you raise an army by taking on missions, and in effect, your army of chaos will grow. This allows them to cover more ground and gives you more territory in the map, which circles back to access to missions and challenges. Pretty simple. One of the very unique experiences in this title would be being able to fly, glide, and walk. So there's a three-form thing, and the mecha fan in my head is saying, that's a Valkyrie from Macross, or some people would call Robotech. And combining that with a grappling hook, you're instantly being slingshotted into a position where you can fly. So it's pretty impressive. It makes exploration pretty fun, and never boring, because getting from point A to point B is always it's just a zip line away. Now, getting back to the grappling hook, it's basically what allows you to be creative in, well, most of the game. Aside from making you be able to move like Batman, you can attach gadgets to the ends of these hooks, like a balloon, a booster, or a retractor. Basically, if it can move, you can manipulate it. So instead of shooting down goons, I began making them float with the giant balloons, or making them fly away with the boosters. It didn't take long for me to begin doing this with vehicles and even base installations. I basically found a new art form. Don't shoot, just attach boosters. It got pretty crazy pretty fast. Honestly, this freedom to move around like this, combined with the mechanics that you can play with your gadgets and the grappling hook, is probably what makes Just Cause 4 an interesting game to play with. Unfortunately, I believe it lacks some integration with all the little toys you get access to as you progress in the game. Part 3. Content. As mentioned before, progression is done through collection. Unfortunately, the method of collection is by completing missions and challenges that kinda don't get creative. Move past a speed trap at a certain speed. Fly your wingsuit through the specific course. Destroy this thing or that base. It's pretty rinse repeat, so it can be pretty easy to get bored with it after a couple of hours. There are a few missions that change up exactly what you're supposed to do, but they are very few and far between. Maybe it can be exciting if you're trying a new vehicle or a weapon, or you want that MiG plane unlocked and you can just imagine what you can do with it, and that will entice you to continue completing these challenges. But everything you get is pretty much just another toy in a toy box for you to play with, and then after a little while you leave behind after. The game does lay out some short-term objectives that rewards you in the short term and lay out bigger milestones for your long-term goal in the game, which is taking down the evil corporation. But it can maybe have used more zany characters, mid-bosses. Like in Resident Evil 4, you didn't fight the big baddie in the end. You had 4 other smaller bosses, where when you complete a certain section, there's a big battle with that guy. It gives you more opportunity for character development, for more humor, and there's more variety in the game. That's what the game really needed, some variety. The addition of the weather weaponry suddenly makes every little thing come together. Especially with tornadoes. The tornado just made everything make sense all of a sudden, but that's kind of deep in the game. And it's not really teased to you at any point early in the game. So, I don't know if it's a plus or it's definitely good new content within the game. But I don't think it was played up enough. I don't think it was maximized to the potential it could have given. Part 4. Features. This title has a very convenient fast travel, which is also paired up with a supply drop system, cementing the idea that this is quite literally a giant sandbox for you to put anything together and come up with ways to please your aesthetic thirst for explosions. However, you might want to back up your saves, especially if you're going the route of the completionist. Open world types do typically have issues with stability, and Just Cause 4 reminded me of that very well. My save was deleted or corrupted after the game crashed all of a sudden. It happens even on the PS4. Also, as a note, I'm wondering why this game doesn't have multiplayer, because you can just imagine how fun it would be to just blow up stuff with your friends. So I think there's a missed opportunity there. Part 5. Verdict. Making creative ways to cause mayhem is pretty much what the game is made for. If you're searching for a satisfying action adventure, this actually isn't quite hitting the mark. It's missing things that would make combat satisfying, like a proper AI, or, a radar. Open world games leaving much to be desired for their combat is nothing new. But this game takes it further by simply swarming you with helicopters and foot soldiers until you discover that you can actually die. While clearly this does not look the best on the PS4, I found times this game would shine. For example, that would be stealing a helicopter from your enemies while it's in flight, or taking control of a battleship, allowing you to single-handedly level down an entire base. This doesn't last very long. The lack of variation of activities limits your creativity, because you're always just doing the same thing. So once you find the most effective way of doing that, and you just want to complete the challenge or the mission just to unlock the new content you want to be able to access, that's what you're always gonna do. So if you're into the science of creating large explosions and producing mass destruction, this would probably be a good fit for you. And maybe a better fit on PC. Just Cause 4 can be explosive, but can use a bit more rocket fuel. It scores a 3.5 out of 5. This game is available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This game review was made possible by the great people at Square-Enix and Bandai Namco Entertainment. Alright, so that's it. So if you want to view or, read more reviews, because this is something I'm trying again, you can check out reimarufiles.com. If you have anything that you'd like to comment, please go ahead and do it, because I want to know if I'm doing well. Alright, that's it. See you next time.